Hey everybody, my name is Milax, and today before we get started, I wanted to talk a bit about why this podcast exists and what I'm hoping to do with it. And then we'll jump right into our first ever episode with the story of how one man built a personal army of magical robot slaves just to serve the public good. So, like a lot of folks, I started playing Gemstone back in the AOL days. And even now, decades later, that awful, garbled, dial-up modem noise launches this powerful wave of nostalgia through me, with Gemstone cruising happily at the crest. I can still remember waking up hours before the sun would rise and sneakily disconnecting the family phone line just so I could log on and run around the catacombs to kill some giant rats, or jump off the graveyard gate and impale myself, or wait in a line for an altar that I was probably never going to get anyway. And what never ceases to amaze me is just how powerfully magnetic that nostalgic pull is for almost everybody who played this game. I know dozens of people who, like me, stepped away for years or even decades at a time to go to college, to get married, to have kids, to get real jobs, just because they burned out and needed a break, only to come back. And they're the folks who've never stepped away, who've been cruising Alanthea for 3 decades now. And all of these people are coming back to a game that by all rational thinking should have died 25 years ago. There's no graphics, there's no winning, there's no scoreboard, there's not even any clear goal or objective or purpose for playing. There's just text and this tiny community of enthusiastic players who keep hunting and healing each other and role-playing and swapping items. And while the Gemstone of 2019 is in many ways very different from what my teenage self remembers, that core drive remains just as powerfully and mysteriously magnetic today. So anyway, I came back recently and I found myself hungry for more content than I could find. And I would spend inordinate amounts of time checking the Discord or the official forums or even the really sadly underutilized subreddit just to see what was out there. And don't get me wrong, there's a ton of information on the wiki that contains exhaustive research about how various trainings and lores and whatever will affect certain spell outcomes, but that's not exactly what I was looking for. I also listen to a lot of podcasts, and I would find myself thinking, man, I really wish there were a Gemstone podcast. And after thinking that for a long time, I thought, why not just make one? So that's what I'm trying to do. I've never done this before, and I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, but I'm hoping that I can fail forward and generate something that people are actually excited about listening to. So, here we go. Welcome to the first ever episode of Town Square Central. In our first ever player versus player interview, I have as a guest on the show, Dreaven of the Drevening fame. So Dreaven, welcome to the show, and thank you very much for being here.
Hi, thank you. Glad to be here.
So I think almost everybody knows of the Drevening as the opportunity to get every conceivable buff spell in the game for absolutely free. And you can gamble fake money, participate in Rochambeau tournaments, play Cards Against Humanity, get lore singing, have your weapons assessed, and more that I didn't even get into. But before we get into all of that, I wanted to start at the beginning. So for you, how and when did you start playing Gemstone?
It was back in the days of AOL, even before they had unlimited, so you had to pay by the hour. I think it was just something AOL was advertising. That's how I got into it. But that was, it must have been close to 25 years ago when I first started playing Gemstone.
Yeah, I also remember playing in the days when you had to, or at least I had to, sneak around my parents' house and play before anybody knew that I was doing that because I was taking up the phone line and costing my home a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly same for me. Yep.
And you're obviously still playing now. So what draws you to this game? Why do you keep playing?
Well, I mean, I took a lot of breaks here and there, but I think what keeps me coming back is really the people in the game. It's the socializing, the role playing. Really, if it wasn't for the community, I probably would have quit a long time ago. So it's really the community that I think keeps Gemstone alive these days.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I think a lot of it is nostalgia too. I mean, we all fell in love with this game back in the day where there weren't really a lot of choices in online, MMORPGs back in the day. I mean, back in the 90s, they're
No,
like,
I think this was basically it, right?
I think Ultima Online came out a couple
UO,
years
yeah,
later.
good call. UO was great.
Yeah.
WoW, I think, was like right around the corner.
Yeah, WoW was a few years later, but they also had EverQuest
Oh
was,
yeah,
uh, but those came mostly. I mean, when I played, those came a couple of years after I started playing. So some people were playing even before then, you know.
yeah.
I think it's nostalgia. Plus, I think people still like the idea of it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. So I think people still like that kind of aspect, pen and paper kind of role playing. It's kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and I think like I played WoW, I played UO briefly, and those aren't games that I've come back to, and that's just my experience. I know that other people have, but I
Hmm.
feel like the sort of open space, like the blank page that this game gives you,
Oh
is
yeah.
pretty exciting. Like you
Oh, for
really
sure.
can do whatever you want, and I think that there's a certain kind of um maybe a little bit off, but like a certain
Yeah.
kind of player that is really really drawn to that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And plus, like I said, it's also the community. I mean, games like WoW. When I first started playing WoW, there wasn't really much of a community, I don't think. And
No.
then guilds kind of made more of a community. But I went back to WoW a few months ago, and even guilds. I was in a kind of a popular, not popular guild, but a lot of people play in that guild, and it's just the community's not there anymore, I don't think. But in Gemstone, it seemed like there's always a community. So
It's also WoW, I think to play requires like a pretty serious time dedication that I
yeah.
guess Gemstone could too. But I know a lot of people who play Gemstone pretty casually. They just throw a couple hours in here, a couple there. Other people never log off, and that's cool
Yeah.
too. But it does allow, it seems like, for a pretty flexible group of folks to play the game.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
true. I mean, yeah, it takes a year to cap, but you don't have to really play much to progress. Unlike like you said, WoW, you have to like raid and do these dungeons and these 5 mans and these epic runs and
You're just constantly grinding.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and
So
I do think, I mean, I was on Elnet the other day, and someone asked, and there were a bunch of people on. Someone asked like how many people are capped, and there were all these people. It felt like confession. All these people saying like I've been playing for 19 years and I'm only level 42.
yeah, yeah,
And
exactly. Yep.
I think that people talk about capping as the sort of the ultimate end game, and I think that a majority that might be I might be reaching there, but I feel like a large number of players just play to play, and they've
Yeah.
sort of like fallen into a groove that they like, and they're here for the community, for the friends they've made along the way.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you look like Roblar, I think you pronounce his name,
Yeah.
Roblar.
Yep.
I mean, my God, he must have been playing. He's been playing for a long time. And he has like 10x gear of
Yeah.
doom and could just
He could destroy everyone at will, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
He still plays the game because he enjoys it. So
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think things just run away from him when he walks into a room.
yeah, pretty
So
much.
he's
But
he's he's not there for the challenge.
he enters a room and the critters just hand him their loot. That's
Yeah,
what
they're
they
like,
do.
look, we give up. We understand. You win. Thank you, sir.
Exactly. Nope.
Yeah. And so in 25 years, when you first started playing and now, there's been a lot of change in the game. How has the game changed in the time that you've been playing from when you started compared to now?
Well, a lot has changed. I mean, back when I was playing, I mostly played a bard back then, and I think it was just 1007 Kai's Valor, whatever it's called. That was pretty much like the highest spell in the bard list, and now you have a almost complete bard spell circle. So that was a huge change when I came back, and then I think the Warrior Guild had just come out.
I actually remember that. Yeah.
Warrior Guild, yeah, it was like just
Big
come out.
stuff. It was really exciting.
Oh yeah, it was. I had quit like shortly after that, but that was pretty amazing when that came along,
Yeah.
came about. The Rogue Guild is new. Just was a whole. I mean, and Sorceling. Well, no, I was around for Sorceling, but that's changed as I first played.
And so if you yourself were in charge of the direction that the game was taking, and you could make any changes you want or do anything you wanted with it, what would you do?
Well, I would focus more. I think it'd be really awesome to focus more on finishing up all the guilds. I mean, I even applied to be a GM one time, and one thing I said on there that they ask you what would you like to do as a GM, and project I said I like to do work on the cleric or finish up the cleric guild. So
Yeah,
I
I feel like there's so much unexplored space there that could be completed without really affecting the balance of the game in a negative way, right? Like you have all these guilds that are. So I just created my Bard recently, and the Bard Guild, as far as I know, is purely just decorative space, right? It's just like a place you can go with food.
exactly. Hmm.
And I feel like there's so much potential for just fun like role play props or customization opportunities within that like I'd be
Yeah.
happy to grind some time in if it would net me something. But right now it's just it's an empty building. And it's kind of sad.
Yeah, it is. I mean, for sure. I mean, like you said, Bard, you could like maybe train I don't know, to customize your sonic weapons or whatnot. Sonic
Yeah.
armor, sonic shield. The whole. It doesn't have to be a mechanical advantage like the warrior or rogue guild is necessarily.
Yeah, and I think someone a lot smarter than me once said that the reason that those ones were created first was to sort of level the playing field for the squares and to give them some mechanical things that they could do that would make life a little less painful for them.
I mean,
I don't know if that's true or not.
I'd say this because back when the Warrior Guild was released, warriors weren't in a very good spot. I mean, it was mostly all about spellcasters back then. So
Yeah.
I don't begrudge warriors for that. But now warriors, I'm not saying they're like the best, but
Yeah.
they do pretty well though.
Being able to pick up Berserk for free is pretty great, right?
Yeah.
I think
Oh,
that's
for
a
sure. Yeah.
big part of why playing a warrior is fun. And yeah, I agree with you. I think, like, especially given the amount of just leeway and design space that you get with sonic weapons and sonic armor, maybe like that's the ultimate end goal of the Bard Guild, right? Is you get to design your own, and it could be super painful, like mastering lock mastery is with a rogue.
Yeah.
But like at the end of it, you get this cool little reward that doesn't affect anyone but you and your own experience.
Yeah. I think it'd be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think you could do similar things with other guilds. So anyway, guilds, I 100% agree. I would love to see that built out. And I think I post in the Gemstone subreddit like once every 6 months asking, what's going on with the guilds? I think I actually did that today. And it just kind of bums me out.
Oh yeah, me too. I
Yeah.
wish they'd work on that.
Yeah. So when I first came back to Gemstone after taking a hiatus, everyone was talking about the Drevening, and I had no idea what that meant. I assumed it was some like storyline thing or some new area or something that I wasn't familiar with. And I came back, and I think you were on a hiatus, but then you came back, and I was like, oh my god, this guy just shows up and does all this amazing stuff for free for everybody. So I'm wondering if first you could just tell us in your own words, what is the Drevening, and then how that idea came to be for you.
Well, the Drevening, like you explained earlier, is a pretty much a gathering at this point. I'd say people come together. Sometimes over 100, 130 people come together from all across the lands in the game to congregate. They could talk to each other, catch up with one another, play some mini games, and then receive all sorts of services and spells. How the idea came to be was when I've always tried to be self-sufficient in this game, even though I know I said I like the socialized aspect of it, but in these kinds of games, I always like to be self-sufficient if I can. So when I started playing again, I made Dreven. He was my first character I made when I came back. And then at some point, I was like, you know what? It'd really be nice if I had some wizard spells. So I reopened my old wizard account. Boxer got him back in the game, and after a while, I was like, it'd be nice if I had a rogue to open my own boxes, and nice to have a bard for my own lore singing. And it kind of just grew from there.
So it started out as you sort of wanting to fill in like the holes in your own. So like you're not waiting for other people or depending on other people. You can just kind of do these things for yourself.
Exactly, yeah. And that's why I made the ranger. And then that was pretty much it. I just had those 5 characters. And then I started hunting started hunting the Rift. And they were getting killed by Rift Crawler. So I was like, well, I really need some slash fittings. And I felt like it was kind of difficult sometimes to find a warrior who could provide slash reinforcements. And then I felt like I was kind of annoying them, being like, hey, this guy needs slash fittings. And like a day later, oh, this other guy needs slash fittings now. So I was like, I'll make my own warrior then.
But I feel like so that I mean, I understand that impulse, but I think for most people, they just complain about it, right? They're like, there's never a warrior around when I need this, or there's never a ranger around when I need this. But you are just like, well, they're not around, so I'm just gonna make one and then do it
Exactly. Yeah.
myself, right? I think that's an unusual level of dedication and just perseverance, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's it is what it is, though.
But so then so that I get, and I have a pocket wizard that is my little brother's old account that I use to spell me up, and it's useful. But it's never occurred to me to take this thing that I do for my own benefit, and not only to open it up to other people, but to open it up to other people in such a complex way. So I'm wondering. So now I'm seeing the picture of where everything came from, but when did you start providing the service for other people, and why did that start happening?
I think it was about 3 or 4 years now when I first started the first beginnings of the Drevening. So I was just offering. I figured I had all these characters, and I could just pretty much give people just about every spell in the game. So I was offering it on Elnet, saying, "Hey, come to my table if you want every spell." And it was very few people took me up on the offer. I think it was literally one person. I did it for like weeks, like maybe two people, and I think they felt like uncomfortable coming to my table by
Just
themselves.
being the only person there, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'd be by themselves. It'd be like six of my guys. Yeah,
yeah,
there's a spell. So
yeah.
and so after I was like, well, I really want to do more than just spell up one person a week. So I started Ice Mule. Actually, I went to the town center. I just started casting at everyone in the town center, whether they wanted spells or not.
Nice.
They were there. They're getting them.
Yeah,
And then I took it to the landing and did the same thing, but that was just taking so long because it was just my guys. No one was really like, here's mana,
yeah.
because they didn't know what I was doing. So then I took it to some of the people who've been there from the beginning will know what I mean. I always said 1 square west of Town Square Center, and as they always said, so you mean Town Square West? But yeah, so 1 square west of Town Square Center, I'd say just come here if you want some spells, and then a few people would come, and then a few more would come, and eventually it started being really huge party 1 square west of Town Square Center.
And now it's moved on to the Wayside Inn.
That's correct.
Yeah, and so I'm very bad at coding, and I think I'm like good enough at it to fool my grandma, right? And then thinking that like I know what I'm doing. But when I watch the complexity of what's happening in a standard Drevening, with maybe 100 people there and all this screen scroll and everyone's having everything happen instantly and with literally zero effort or input on their part, one of the thoughts that's always rattling around in my head is that it must have taken you forever to put that all together. So I'm wondering if you could talk about how that happened, because I can get, typing like prep 509, cast so and so 3, but I can't imagine doing that for that many people at the same time. So how does that even work?
Well, yeah, it started out, I pretty much was doing it. I don't want to say by hand, but it was like maybe macros, or maybe like each one of my characters had their own script, pretty much, how they would cast spells to everyone. And then as you got more and more people coming along, I was thinking, well, this is, taking a lot of work on me. So that's when I started automating things on my end. And then I was like, well, I need more mana. People weren't sending mana. I don't think they were just not wanting to be helpful. I think they just weren't realizing how helpful the mana was.
Yeah.
So that's when I created the Drevening script that would automatically have them send mana. So that would make things a lot smoother, a lot faster, a lot easier. So that's how the Drevening script came to be.
And how long would you guess it took you to create that whole? I mean, I know that you're still working on it, but like, how much time went into developing it in its current form?
Oh, I don't even know. If I had to guess, I'd say at least 50 hours. I don't know for sure, but at least 50 hours.
No, I believe it. And I also think, just as a hat tip to you, the fact that like almost everything that could be hidden is hidden from the receiving end is super impressive. I don't even know how you do that, but I never see anyone like sending or casting. It's just suddenly like, boom, you have all the spells in the game, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's part of the squelching in the script. I went through all the game lines during the Dreaven, and like, we'll add this line in there, add this line in there. So
Yeah. So do you have a background in that area, or is that just something you picked up as part of playing Gemstone?
coding?
Yeah.
No, I don't have a background at all. I actually just started coding in Lich just a couple years before I started the Drevening. Just for myself, I made my own scripts like T-Pick. That's a script I made. That was just for myself. And then people were saying, hey, does anyone have a good lockpicking script? And I think there was one, I forget who made it, who he made it, but then he deleted it off the repo, so no one had it. I was like, well, I have a script I could share. And so, but no, I picked it up. I'm totally self-taught. I mean, I'm by no means as good as some of the coders on like the PC or Discord, but I pretty much just taught myself by reading other people's scripts and Googling when I'm confused or lost about something.
Yeah, well, I feel like I have a couple friends who work in software development, and I think that's basically what they do all day too, and they are formally trained. So I think you're probably not very far off from where they are.
There you go.
So I know you just recently added Lich Bones, right? Which is super fun, and I think all the people who bet Lich are monsters, and they deserve to lose all their gold.
Yeah.
But you're constantly adding all these new features, which seem to me to be designed to make the experience of just waiting a few minutes, which itself is not too high a price to be paid, just even more fun for people. So what are your plans for future development?
I'm definitely gonna make a new game, kind of like not like Lich Bones, but another game. So it'd be four different games. Where Shambo and Cards Against Humanity is one pair of games that we played, or Lich Bones. There would be a third game. I don't know what's going to be yet. I have some ideas rattling around, but that's as far as games go. As far as like services, I want to get my warriors more weapon abilities so they can assess more weapons. So I think people are like that.
Yeah, that'd be great. I used to use the lore singing feature on your bard all the time until I made a bard. But I would sit there and I would just watch and like wait for him to pass something off and then just spam like give.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I always felt like a jerk. But now I have my own bard, so I feel no guilt anymore.
So you're being self-sufficient too.
Yeah, slowly, one crappily made character at a time. I'm getting there.
That's all it takes.
Yeah. Well, you don't need to be a good bard to lore sing, right?
No, you don't.
Yeah. So what do you want people to understand about the Drevening? What do you wish that more people knew about, other than how to correctly pronounce it? What do you wish more people knew?
It's more of a social aspect. It's more just about Dreven at this point. Even though it bears my character's name, it's a group effort. Everyone comes there to socialize, and everyone sends mana, and everyone, they're giving their ideas on. I mean, most of what is part of the services or even in the Drevening script came from people just giving random suggestions, and I'll read those suggestions and be like, that's a great idea, so I'll implement it. So it's Drevening is just everyone. Everyone comes together and makes the experience worthwhile, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love that. It's like it's the communal aspect of the game that makes it great.
Exactly.
Just like times 50,000 and run through really complex scripts.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And so what can people do to support you in your efforts? I know that you accept tips in game and you report on those and tell people that it's totally unnecessary to do that, but what's the best thing that people could do in order to support the effort that you're doing?
Yeah, well, tips in games are great, and like I said, more suggestions, they're always worthwhile. I mean, there is no bad suggestion. It's just if it's sometimes people give a complicated suggestion where it's like, that's just too much coding for me to get involved in, but still, I'm not gonna be mad about someone.
What would an example of a too complicated suggestion be that you've gotten?
Oh boy,
like, you should help me solve my bounty tasks kind of thing.
Yeah, I think people have. I mean, that wouldn't be that complicated either.
Right.
To have
You might be a little more ambitious than I am then, because I would hear that and be like, "Get out of here, guy! You're already getting plenty from me."
No, I mean, I can't think of any on the top of my head, but there's some that are just.
So what could people do? Tips. You have a Patreon too, right?
Yeah, I have a Patreon account on Lord Dreaven, or if they don't want to do Patreon, some people don't want to, they can send me a message on Lnet and to arrange a donation via PayPal.
Yeah.
That works too.
Yeah, well, so I will confess, I've always felt guilty attending Drevenings because I'm always like, man, this lets me up hunt so much. I don't have to worry about anything. It's super safe for me. It's great. I actually love the like goofy social aspect of it too. It's fun. But then I feel like I'm listening to NPR during their pledge drive, when they're like, you get so much value out of this. Why haven't you given any money yet? But you don't even play the guilt angle. So I feel like I definitely need to do that. And I'm sure that others do too.
I agree.
But I do appreciate, but I do appreciate the like very laid back attitude that you take toward that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't want people to feel like they have to. I mean, for the longest time, I didn't even want to announce. I didn't want to say like, people, I'll keep track of how many tips people gave.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do that because I didn't want people to feel like they had to compete with one another. But
some people want to compete, right? And that's a good way for them to compete.
I mean, some people even said that. They even said that I want to compete. I want to see who has the most, monthly donations. Like, well, if that's what you guys want, I'm not gonna...
So yeah, if you like Drevenings, give Dreven some money already. And okay, up next, our first installment of Script Check, in which we cover some useful and or interesting scripts that people should already know about and use. I had a bunch of ideas for this, but given your experience with scripting, I think you're probably more qualified to start this conversation. So what are some useful scripts that folks in Gemstone should know about and already be using?
As far as useful scripts that I've made, I think are awesome, that are on the repo. There's T-Pick, like I was saying, it's awesome. It could pick boxes for whether you're a rogue or you're non-rogue, or it could pop boxes if you know the unlock spell and the disarm spell. If you have a gnomish bracers, it could open those. It'll open those plinate things from what's that place called? The elementals, the confluence.
Oh yeah.
So T-Pick is awesome. There's also, do you use T-Pick?
No, I had a rogue and I got so intimidated by picking locks that I was like, I'm just not even gonna bother with this. I feel like I'm gonna blow myself up. But now that I know T-Pick exists, maybe I'll
T-Pick
get
is
back
awesome.
into it.
It does everything. It does, they even use vials of acid or wedges, and I mean, I can't think of anything it does not do. So it's just
So like for me, just to bring it back to me impressing my grandma but nobody else. If I wrote a script that like said, oh, there's a box in your hand, get a lockpick out, try and disarm it, try and open it, I would feel super proud of myself, even if that's all that it did. And then here you are, you've got like the sorcerer's version, the warrior's version, bracer, working version. It kind of blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I mean, when I first started out, that's pretty much exactly what it was. It was just get box, get lock picking, and pick the lock. It's I've been working on that for years now, so it's taken a while to get there. It wasn't just something I just whipped up in a day or anything. So.
Yeah, sure. And then another script that I learned very recently is yours that I think is super cool is Title. Can you talk about Title?
I was actually that's been my next suggestion. Title. It's pretty awesome too. It scans through everyone, like it scans through a list of everyone's profession. So if you can make it so if you were to look in a room, you could see like Dreven and in parentheses after his name, it'd say empath or Kolak, cleric. It'll say what the profession is. You can even highlight one profession or only show certain professions. So if you, for example, wanted to see just the clerics in the room, you could just have it just show clerics in the room or have it show clerics in red. You can even make it so you can give someone a custom title. Like, let's say, Vanak is Drevin's Bard alt. You could even just make a custom title for Vanak. So it'll be in parentheses, it'll say Drevin's Bard alt, for example. So really customizable. A lot of stuff you can do that script. It's pretty awesome, I think.
So it's a way that I could avoid going into Town Square Central and saying, "Any healers around? Any healers? Any healers?" I would just know. I'd be like, well, it's time to go lay down in the healer's tent again.
Yeah, exactly. You can look in there. There's no empaths. Well, it's time to go somewhere else. There's no empaths here.
Yeah, that I love that. It's such a simple idea, but a thing that like I feel like is a big quality of life upgrade if it's used in the right way, which I think is exactly what like a really cool script can do. So
for sure, yeah.
Thanks for making that one. I'm super.
There's Cold Master, which would you run it and it'll automatically. I think you might have to be in what's that place called? Soul Haven. It might run you there for all I know. I think you have to be in Soul Haven though. Anyways, if you're not already part of Cole, it'll find the matron. It'll join Cole. It'll run through everything. The only thing it won't do is it won't go out and get the skins you need. But if you have the skins, it'll turn in the skins. It'll answer the question. It'll go buy the robes or whatever for the offerings. It'll
the flowing white robes
for you. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, so I think I used that like years ago. I had no idea you made that.
No, it wasn't mine because I didn't make it years ago.
Oh.
There might be a similar script out there. So
I think I used a significantly inferior one years ago. Yeah.
I mean, I made mine I think maybe a year ago. So yeah.
Okay. Well, Coal Master super helpful. So what else?
Let's see, T-Pit, title, Coal Master. Let me go through my list on my computer here because I just made a lot of scripts and I kind of. Let's see. There's also Finish It. Everyone should use Finish It. It's one of the best scripts ever. You just have to run it to see what it does, especially around the time of April 1st. That's the best time to run it.
What's it called?
Finish It.
Finish It.
Yep,
all right.
Finish dash or hyphen it. Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna actually type this right now, and you won't tell me what it does. I just need to run it.
Exactly. Right. To run it, you have to really see it to believe it. What it does.
All right, Finish It. I'm really excited. It's what I'm gonna immediately do when we get off of this call.
For sure, you should. Right. Everyone listening right now should do it at the same time.
Everyone, go finish it immediately.
Exactly. Yep. Finish it.
Okay.
There's also I have Disarm No More. That's pretty awesome. It'll be if you're disarmed, your weapon's on the ground, it'll automatically pick up your weapon as soon as you're out of round time. If you're running through a hunting area and you're disarmed and you run out of the room, it'll automatically run you back to the room and pick up your weapon. So that's pretty awesome if you're in an area where you could lose your weapon.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of nightmare stories about people losing like high-end weapons, so that got to be useful.
I also have Don't Lose It. That's pretty awesome because a lot of times people will like pit something like they're Cladmore of Doom in backpack, not my backpack.
Yeah.
So they'll put it in the backpack on the ground.
Yeah.
Don't lose it. Automatically, it won't let you do that. If you try to do like pit Cladmore in backpack, it'll automatically pit Cladmore in my backpack. It'll automatically do that for you. So
yeah. And that was actually like I remember seeing on Elnet recently like a big point of contention where someone lost a bunch of valuable stuff because they just made some little mistake like that. And I think they got it back, but if they'd been running Don't Lose It, it could have been avoided in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah. You got to have Don't Lose It. It's invaluable. And I think the last one, I have a whole bunch of other scripts, but I'll just kind of cut this short. I have so many to go through. But auto level is nice. It'll automatically get you to level, what is it, like 20, I think? I think it depends what city you're in. But
What? Really?
Yeah, automatically. I mean, you have to. There's a setup menu you have to do. But other than that, it'll run through like rats, kill rats, and once you graduate from rats, it'll go to like kobolds and kill kobolds and thyrolls and mountain ogres. It'll do all that.
Wow. Oh,
there's even an option from what I recall where if you're hurt, it'll go to town center and ask for healing until you get healing, and it'll even tip the healer too.
There's gonna come a point in the game where everybody playing realizes that they're actually just a Dreaven controlled bot.
Exactly.
That's going to happen at some point.
I have that nightmare sometimes. I'm going to log on and it'll just be 100 other me's in the game. It's like, I don't remember making this script. Where'd you come from,
Yeah, man. And then when you can't tell whether or not you made them, that's when you know you've really succeeded, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. You passed your own Turing test or failed it or something.
It's either time to retire or time to hide under my pillows.
Yeah, exactly. Both. Dreaven, thank you so much for doing our first ever player versus player interview. I am really happy to have gotten a chance to talk with you. I learned a lot about new scripts that I need to check out, and it was really great to get some background on the wonderful face-tastic phenomenon that is the Drevening.
Exactly. Yep. That's awesome. I was happy to do this because I had a lot of fun. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. All right, that's it for our first episode. I'd love to hear from you, what you think, what worked, what didn't, what you'd like next time. And if you're interested in contributing or helping out in some way, please let me know. You can reach me via email at gsivpodcast@gmail.com or in-game as Milax. Thanks, everybody, and see you next time on Town Square Central. So in our first ever player versus player interview, I have as a guest on the show Dreaven of the Dreavening fame. So Dreaven, welcome to the show. Thanks a lot for being here.
Well, you probably want to redo this because it's actually pronounced Dreven. So.
Whoa! I feel like a not small part of my intellectual life just completely changed.
Yeah.
Got rocked to the core there.
No, it's okay. I mean, everyone thinks it's Dreven, so it throws everyone for a loop.
Oh my god! All right, Dreven.
Yeah.
Wow. All right, I'm gonna lose some sleep over that one tonight. All right, so take two.